Let me tell you something. One of the greatest dangers in life is not the enemies you can see coming. It's the so-called friends you let walk straight into your heart without checking their credentials. See, the devil doesn't always knock on your door wearing red horns and a pitchfork. Sometimes he comes smiling, laughing, calling you brother or sister, and before you know it, you've given him the run of your whole house. When you don't have boundaries, you're not being loving, you're being careless. And careless hearts get wounded. Careless minds get twisted. Careless souls get trapped. You think you're just being nice, but in reality, you're opening the gates to compromise. Look in the Bible, Samson didn't lose his strength because the Philistines were stronger than him. He lost it because he gave the wrong woman the right access. Delilah didn't need to fight him. She just needed to sit close enough to ask the right questions. And when you keep people that close who have no business being there, sooner or later, they will cut what God told you to protect. Some of y'all are wondering why your convictions are weaker now than they were a year ago. Why your fire for God doesn't burn like it used to. It's not because you woke up one morning and decided to turn cold. It's because you've been letting the wrong company whisper into your ear. And every whisper takes a little more of your conviction. It's not that serious, takes a little more of your standard. Every just this once takes a little more of your purity. And before long, you're not living by your boundaries anymore. You're living by theirs. Friendship without boundaries will have you doing things you swore you'd never do, going places you swore you'd never go, and tolerating what you once would have rebuked. Why? Because influence is real. You can't walk with someone every day and not be affected by their spirit. That's why the Bible says bad company corrupts good morals. It doesn't say bad company might corrupt. It says it will. That's a guarantee. See, you can't be everyone's personal counselor, personal rescuer, and personal cheerleader without first asking, where is this relationship taking me? You might have the best intentions in the world, but if the person you're with is walking toward compromise, you're going to have to decide whether to walk with them or let them go. And hear me, letting go doesn't mean hating them. It means you love God's purpose for your life too much to let it get watered down. It means you understand the difference between helping someone and handing them your destiny. Some folks are not malicious, they're just messy. And messy people without boundaries will have your life in constant cleanup mode. You'll spend all your energy fixing their chaos instead of building God's calling on your life. You'll spend all your prayer time asking God to fix a situation you were never assigned to carry in the first place. Jesus himself showed us this principle. Yes, he ministered to multitudes. Yes, he healed strangers. But when it came to his private moments, his deep conversations, his mountaintop experiences, only Peter, James, and John were allowed in. Everybody else had to watch from a distance. That's not cruelty, that's wisdom. That's boundary. When you set boundaries, you're not being selfish. You're being strategic. You're telling your heart, not everyone can have this level of influence over me. You're telling your mind, not every voice gets to speak into my decision. You're telling your soul, not every spirit belongs in my inner circle. Because here's the truth. If the enemy can't destroy you from the outside, he will try to join you on the inside. And once he's close enough, he doesn't need to attack. He just needs to distract. A distracted believer is just as ineffective as a defeated one. So I'm telling you today, guard your heart like your life depends on it, because it does. If you've been too available, too accessible, too open to people who pull you away from God's best, it's time to draw the line. Some doors need to be shut. Some numbers need to be deleted. Some tables you've been sitting at need to be left behind. And when you do it, you'll find something amazing. The peace you lost will start coming back. The joy that was leaking out will start flowing again. And your walk with God will feel lighter, freer, stronger. Friendship without boundaries will always breed compromise. But friendship with boundaries, that breeds growth, accountability in life. So love everybody, yes, but protect your heart fiercely because God has too much in store for you to let the wrong people talk you out of it. You can love everybody, but you can't be close to everybody. That's not just wisdom, that's kingdom strategy. Even the Son of God didn't give everyone the same level of access. Yes, he fed thousands. Yes, he healed crowds. Yes, he preached to multitudes. But when it came to his personal circle, he had structure, he had levels, he had boundaries. There was the multitude, the ones who came for miracles, for bread, for blessings. They were welcome to receive, but they didn't have his personal trust. Then there were the 70 people he trained, sent out, gave assignments to closer, but still not in his daily intimate space. Then came the 12 men he walked with, taught personally, shared meals with. And then there were 3, Peter, James, and John, the ones who saw him on the mountaintop of glory, the ones who saw him in the garden of agony, the ones who witnessed moments no one else was invited to see. That's not favoritism, that's wisdom. That's the recognition that not everyone can handle every part of who you are. Not everyone can carry the weight of your mission. Not everyone can walk with you in your highest moments and still be there in your lowest. Some of us get in trouble because we're trying to give inner circle access to people who haven't even proven they can be trusted with multitude distance. We invite them into places in our hearts they haven't earned, and then we're shocked when they mishandle what they find. The truth is, you can't expect someone who's never walked with you through the valley to understand the vision you saw on the mountain. If you don't learn to set circles in your life, you'll constantly be frustrated, misunderstood, and betrayed. Not because the enemy is stronger, but because you gave him the wrong seat at your table. The power of circles is that each one has its own purpose. The multitude. They represent the people you serve, the ones God called you to bless, to speak to love from a distance. The 70, they're your partners in the mission, not your family, not your confidence, but your co-laborers. The 12, they're your companions, people who walk with you, share life with you, but still don't see every single part of your soul. And the 3, that's your covenant circle, people who can see you shining in glory and still stand with you when you're sweating drops of blood. Here's the problem. Some of you don't have circles. You've just got a crowd. Everybody's in the same space. Everyone has the same access. Everyone gets the same information. And when you live like that, you end up drained, exposed, and wondering why people keep disappointing you. The truth is, they didn't betray you. You misplaced them. You can't expect the multitude to give you the loyalty of the 3. You can't expect the 70 to carry the intimacy of the 12. When you confuse the roles, you create wounds that were never meant to happen. Some people are only meant to hear your sermons, not your secrets. Some are meant to share in your victories, but not in your vulnerabilities. And if you don't learn that, you'll keep crying over people who were never supposed to be that close in the first place. This is why prayer for discernment is critical. You need God to show you who belongs in my multitude, who belongs in my 70, who belongs in my 12, and who belongs in my 3. Without that divine arrangement, you'll either end up isolated from those you should embrace or entangled with those you should release. When you have circles, you can still love everybody, but you love them appropriately. You can serve without being drained. You can share without being exploited. You can open up without being left unprotected, because circles aren't about keeping people out. They're about keeping order in. And let me tell you something. When you get your circles right, you'll find a new level of peace. You'll stop wasting time trying to force multitude people into 3 positions. You'll stop giving deep loyalty to shallow commitment. You'll stop giving private access to public fans. Even in the kingdom, structure matters, order matters, discernment matters, because without it, your purpose gets diluted, your strength gets stolen, and your joy gets sabotaged. So here's the challenge. Stop feeling guilty for organizing your relationships. Stop apologizing for not letting everybody all the way in. Stop letting people shame you for being selective about your inner circle. If the one who was perfect still had boundaries, still had levels, still had circles, what makes you think you can fulfill your mission without them? Love fully, serve faithfully, but circle wisely, because your destiny isn't built in the crowd, it's protected in the circle. There comes a point in your life when you've got to decide that your peace is not up for negotiation, not for sale, not available for rent, not even on loan. Because when God gives you peace, he's giving you a gift this world didn't give. And if the world didn't give it, the world doesn't have the right to take it away. Too many of us are letting people write checks on our emotions that our spirit can't cash. You're letting folks talk to you any kind of way, treat you any kind of way, demand from you any kind of way, and you call it being nice. But it's not kindness when it costs you your God-given peace. That's called compromise. Peace is the atmosphere in which God works. It's the stillness where his voice becomes clear. It's the calm in which his direction is sure. And the enemy knows that if he can't stop you with chaos in your circumstances, he'll try to break you with chaos in your spirit. Some of y'all are in storms right now that you didn't create. You're carrying drama that doesn't belong to you. You're losing sleep over problems that aren't your responsibility to fix. Why? Because you sold your peace cheap to somebody who's never going to pay you back. Hear me, God never told you to let people dump their garbage into your mind. He said to guard your heart, that means there's a gate and you decide what gets through it. You got to be willing to say, I love you, but I won't let you use me as your emotional landfill. Your peace is the thermostat of your life. If you let toxic people in, your spiritual temperature drops. If you keep letting every argument, every opinion, every petty comment shake you, you'll be living in constant winter while God is trying to bring you into a season of harvest. Look at Jesus when he was on that boat in the middle of the storm. He didn't let the disciples panic make him panic. He didn't let their fear dictate his faith. He stood up, spoke to the wind, spoke to the waves, and restored calm, because the peace he carried was greater than the storm he faced. But you can't carry that kind of peace if you're giving it away to every little thing that annoys you, frustrates you, or hurts you. Every time you argue with someone who doesn't even want to understand you, you're paying for it with your peace. Every time you keep engaging in conversations that go nowhere, you're paying for it with your peace. Every time you keep showing up for people who never show up for you, you're paying for it with your peace. And let me tell you, that's too high a price. Peace cost Jesus his life. He bought it with his blood. And if he valued it that much, he can't afford to throw it away for the sake of keeping everybody else happy. Sometimes protecting your peace means stepping back. Sometimes it means staying silent. Sometimes it means letting people think whatever they want to think about. Because your calling is not to convince them. Your calling is to obey him. You've got to learn to say no without guilt, yes without fear, and goodbye without bitterness. Because if you don't, you'll wake up one day and realize you've been living someone else's life while your own purpose has been sitting on hold. Some people will call you selfish for protecting your peace. That's because they were benefiting from you, not having any. They liked you drained, distracted, and always available. But when you start walking in God's order, when you start guarding your spirit, they'll either adjust to your boundaries or remove themselves. And either way, you win. So from this day forward, stop giving discounts on your peace. Stop running sales on your joy. Stop handing out coupons for your sanity. Your peace is priceless because it keeps you aligned with God's voice. And anything that disrupts that alignment is too expensive to keep. Live your life with this resolve. If it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. That friendship, too expensive. That argument, too expensive. That opportunity that looks good but feels wrong, too expensive. Because nothing in this world is worth losing the calm that comes from knowing you're exactly where God wants you to be. Closeness is not just about proximity. It's about covenant. Anybody can stand next to you. Anybody can share a meal with you. Anybody can hang around when things are easy. But not everybody has the right, the commitment, or the integrity to walk closely with you. Closeness is not free. It has a cost. And that cost is covenant. See, a covenant is not just a casual promise. It's not, I'll be here until I'm uncomfortable. It's not, I'm with you until it's no longer convenient. A covenant says, I'm committed to you in purpose and loyalty and integrity, no matter what comes. That's why you can't just hand over closeness to everybody who wants it. If they haven't shown covenant faithfulness, they haven't earned covenant closeness. Too many of us are mistaking chemistry for covenant. Just because you click with someone doesn't mean they're called to be close. Just because they make you laugh doesn't mean they'll stand with you in tears. Just because they understand your personality doesn't mean they understand your purpose. And if someone doesn't understand your purpose, they won't protect it. Look at David and Jonathan. Well, it was a covenant friendship. Jonathan was the son of King Saul, the man who was trying to kill David. But Jonathan protected David's life at the risk of his own. That's covenant. That's loyalty that doesn't flinch under pressure. That's the kind of person you want close, someone who will cover you when the arrows start flying, not join in with the people shooting. On the other hand, we've all seen what happens when closeness comes without covenant. You open your heart to someone thinking they're there to help you, and the moment they disagree with you, they walk away, or worse, they use what they know about you to tear you down. That's why betrayal hurts so much, because you can only be betrayed by someone you let close. The crowd can't betray you, only a covenant breaker can. So here's the truth. Before you let someone into your inner circle, you have to see if they can keep their word when it's inconvenient. If they only show up when there's something to gain, they're not covenant material. If they disappear when the blessings slow down, they're not covenant material. If they can't tell you the truth with love, they're not covenant material. Covenant closeness isn't just about what they can do for you. It's about whether they're willing to protect what God is doing in you. That means they won't expose your weakness to the world. They won't compete with your calling. They won't sabotage your steps out of jealousy. They'll pray for you, fight for you, and walk with you, not because it benefits them, but because they value the assignment God has put on your life. And don't forget, covenant is a two-way street. If you want people who are loyal, trustworthy, and committed, you have to be the same. You can't demand covenant and give convenience. You can't expect deep loyalty while offering shallow investment. True closeness is built when both people understand we are connected by something bigger than ourselves. Some of you need to take inventory of your relationships. Who's in your life right now because of covenant, and who's just there because of convenience? Who would still be standing next to you if everything went wrong? Who would still believe in you when the rumors start flying? Who would still see God's hand on you when life gets messy? And if you find that someone is close without covenant, you don't have to hate them, but you do have to reposition them. Love them, yes. Pray for them, yes. But don't give them access to the parts of you that only covenant people should see. Because the wrong person in the right place can still ruin the whole house. Closeness without covenant leads to betrayal. But closeness with covenant leads to breakthrough. That's why you've got to be intentional. It's not about building walls. It's about building gates. Gates that open only for those who have proven through time, trials, and truth that they are safe to walk with you in every season. At the end of the day, Covenant is God's design for meaningful connection. It's how he relates to us, not just as a distant ruler, but as a faithful, promise-keeping father who says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And if that's how he treats his people, then we should expect the same from those we keep close. So choose wisely. Don't confuse friendliness with faithfulness. Don't trade covenant for convenience. And remember, closeness requires covenant because anything less will cost you more than it's worth.